Adam Conover, you guys know, friend of the show, LA's finest. I actually think the guy's an amazing communicator. There's a reason he's had a pretty good career, doing TV and stuff. And he was instrumental with the strike actions and communicating that and being very front and public about it. So he's a good follow. This guy, Rob Dyrdek, I guess this is like the biggest show. I used to know of the show. I don't know anything about TV anymore. It's been years. Edit. This guy's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and it dominates the MTV schedule, and the writers are all working like side jobs, and they're the ones producing all the content. Just insane. And they're fighting this. There's a union action, the Writer Guild, WGA West. I don't know all the details. That's why I was kind of hesitant to get into it. I did like this one. Here, let's click play from the Writers Guild of America and see what they say.
Hi, this is the writers from Ridiculousness.
Oh, sorry, text. On January 4th, 2024, the writers of Ridiculousness asked host and executive producer Rob Dyrdek for his support for a fair contract. Union busting scumbags, man. You're trying to take away people's civil rights, trying to take away their constitutional rights.
Hi, my name is Ryan Connor. I am here along with my fellow writers at Rob's offices because we just wanted to ask him for his support in our efforts to get our first union contract.
Tried to go up.
Travis Fields, it said.
Or access or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
We called, we left a message, nobody answered.
Hi, this is the writers from Ridiculousness. We are here in the ground floor of the building just to ask if we could maybe talk to Rob for a few minutes to ask for his support.
We love Ridiculousness. We want this
Lauren
show
Blackwell, 2 years. It says Ridiculousness writer for 2
to
years.
continue on for years to come. We just would like to be compensated fairly.
With the kind of industry standards
Brandon Vaughn, 10 years. This show's been around a long time.
of pay rates and healthcare and benefits.
When we started working for the show, we were doing 30 episodes a season. Now we're doing, or a year. Now we're doing 336.
We work hard. We do a
Greg Edwards, writer, Ridiculous, 4 years.
great job. This is one of Viacom's, MTV's hit shows.
Ridiculousness has been a huge
Allie Maynard. Actually, I've seen her. She's a Twitter. I didn't know she was on that. Ridiculousness writer, 4 years. She's good on Twitter. I think I might have even referenced one of her tweets once before on the show.
success. We just want a piece of that success. If Rob were to
Stephanie McCann, 2 years.
recognize our desire for a fair contract and to recognize our union, that would mean a lot to us. Like it would mean everything. All we're looking for is a fair deal.
We work very hard. We put out a great product, and we deserve it. Hopefully, we can get your support, Rob.
Yeah, Rob, I know you're watching. Unlike and unsubscribe, scumbag. We have no quarter for union busting scumbags around here. We don't do that. You're a rotten person. Not okay. These people, what's so crazy, it finishes with Rob Dyrdek, support a fair contract for Ridiculousness writers. What do they, I don't know what they're asking for. I'm sure it's not all of it. People, whenever these negotiations happen, they're immensely reasonable. It just feels like a threat because it means it's a loss of control for the people at the top, and they have to fight it. And they're going to pump money and all kinds of cash into their consultants and their law firms that help them. And it's one of the scummiest things you can do. It's one of the some of the scummiest work in the world are union busting consultants and lawyers. Scumbag of the fucking planet. That and health insurance executives. And Joe Biden, and big polluters, people that just start doing all that kind of stuff, all in service of what? But in this kind of case, it's so clear. Why would these people? But Rob, you would benefit from your workers feeling better and not working side jobs. These people work. A lot of those writers are out there working other jobs, working full time on a hit TV show that's been around for years, that's generated hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, probably incredibly. I don't know enough about it. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's probably a lot of virality, off-air, off-broadcast potential for these shows too, for the content these people are making. And they're screwing. Look, here's the schedule. Adam Conover. Yes, you read that right. These writers produce 336 episodes of television every year. That's because the show is so successful. MTV recently ordered 1,000 new episodes. Ridiculousness now makes up the majority MTV's entire schedule. All that shit there. Ridiculous. All of it says ridiculous. The oranges. Orange color. To produce nearly as many episodes in a year as there are days in a year, these writers work insanely tight schedules. Each of them is responsible for writing, producing, and editing an entire episode of television in a week. It's a crushing workload. That's how I describe having sex with me. This lucrative show wouldn't be funny or even producible without the work of these talented comedy writers, but they receive only a fraction of the wages WGA offered writers on similar shows do. Most can't afford health care, and they receive no residuals of any kind. See, aside from the absurdity that they should have to afford any health care, that health care should involve money, once you introduce money into the exchange, you introduce stress into the exchange, which is a takeaway from your body's ability to recover and feel okay. The fact that we burden ourselves with that. I don't know how we don't win this argument just on the stress factor alone on its own. But all that sources back to is leverage. Everything you ever hear about labor, all the stuff you hear about the bosses being shitty, the details matter. It's important to get into the weeds and stuff. But ultimately, the flow chart always points back to leverage. The concept that when you're sitting there saying yes or no to something, you get to demand more if you have higher leverage, and you increase your leverage when you have less stress or more backup from your community, from other people standing around you. When we started the unit at the Young Turks, that's what it was about. We needed leverage to change our working conditions, and so the only way to achieve that, because none of us could do it on our own, I was trying, I was complaining constantly, but none of us could do it on our own, and so we had to secretly form a union there. That's what we did. And it worked. I got fired before the union came forward, and I didn't end up in the union. My hope was actually, well, I wanted to make TYT better and stronger and get paid and be able to, justify the effort I was giving the company for all the various reasons and stuff. But I would have also been grateful to have the union card, so I have an unsigned one here somewhere around here. So I could maybe find other union work, because even at that rate, we weren't going to get like massive rates. We were going to get a little pay, I would assume. I don't know. Anyway, so I've experienced this exact kind of thing, not precisely these writers, but starting a union, man. And of course, we did it in secret because we knew Cenk Uygur wasn't going to like it. That's one of those things about that story. It's like, oh, why was it not his idea? Why did you guys have to do it in secret? But I don't know. Crazy stuff. Okay, so continuing this story I wasn't going to do. Some writers have been forced to take a second job. No one should ever have to take a second job. That's insane. Honestly, no one should ever have to have a fucking job. I don't think you can. I know people hear that and they go, oh my God, he thinks zero work ever. That's not at all the point. The point is we force people. The whole point of this rotten society is to compel people to perform labor for motherfuckers who don't have their best interests in mind. And we can change that equation by converting the concept of work into in my opinion, and I don't think you flip a switch for this, into the concept of service and strengthening community and strengthening yourself, which means that you're operating both with responsibility to your own needs and as a responsibility to the world in which you operate and live. Because I don't want to be fucking stressed out by other people. That's part of my whole thing, is I'm so emotionally radar tuned in to others. Whether I'm right or wrong, my body generates the emotions, whether I'm accurate or not. And actually, I'm fairly accurate about it, actually, I would say. No wonder my beard fell out. Some writers have been forced to take a second job, even though they already work full time. Seems to me that if you write and produce, second jobs should all be voluntary in the world. If that's what you want. You want to go off and work at Denny's, get into fights at Waffle House because you're done with your corporate gig. Okay, great. Free country. Who's going to stop you there? But people are not doing this shit because they want to. They're doing it because the maw of coercion will chew you into bits if you don't. And then everything's getting more and more and more expensive. I hope we're reaching a point, though, where things tip towards, wait a minute, there's more of us than you motherfuckers, and we got to change things substantially. Although, depending on how fast you change things, we call that a revolution. That can be very costly, for sure, and doesn't happen quickly. And there's no switches to flip, unfortunately. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. Seems to me that if you write and produce an entire episode of an ultra successful TV show every week, that should at least pay your basic expenses. But on Ridiculousness, it doesn't. Last year, the writers of Ridiculousness took the brave step of voting to join the WGA West. In response, the company took away their holiday bonuses and year-end raises. TYT did that. There's an article in these times about having their bonuses and raises paused. They eventually did after the NLRB got involved. But yeah, they did eventually do it. But during the union busting at TYT, they stopped bonuses and raises for the people in the bargaining unit. It's fucking scum, man. It's just rotten shit. And the company's lawyers still haven't responded to the writers' bargaining proposals, so they're getting stonewalled by the lawyers. These are professional comedy writers who work their asses off to make you laugh and whose work makes the bosses millions. They deserve your health care. They deserve health care, retirement, fair wages, and residuals, just like every other comedy writer doing the same work. Yeah, getting a completely different benefits thing than others doing the same work is just ghastly. The fairness. We're fairness monkeys. We're the fairness monkeys. And also, we're strong because you're strong. I'm safe when you're safe. I'm okay when you're okay. I have this concept of doing a show or a book or some sort of, if I ever pull my shit together. And I think this is one of the more doable ones of the ideas I have. Unlike my idea about doing a documentary about entropy as a lens for examining what is labor, the labor movement through the lens of entropy. I'm tired of all the same old bullshit. I actually want to approach it. I want to try to find a different way up the mountain, What the fuck was I just saying? I want to do a thing called socialism for selfish pricks like you and me. Let's stop trying to persuade. I mean, there's plenty of people out there persuading the bleeding hearts and the people who are already kind of trending towards the universal dignity mindset that underpins this thing, the frustration with the way the world is. But there's also a lot of people who are just fucking selfish, particularly in the selfish United States of America, where we're trained to be consumers. We're trained to dismiss the pain of other people. So let's do a project where we talk about selfishness. Let's say validate the selfishness. I'm not saying encourage it, but that's at least a starting point for every conversation in this idea. And then we talk about why helping that guy down the street who's struggling makes you safer. You don't have to help him because you care about him, but it's important. We should help him because it costs less money for everybody and it makes you safer. I'm so fucking sick of living around people who I don't know how desperate they are. I want to minimize that, if not eliminate it. Let's keep going though here. Thanks, Adam Conover. Appreciate your tweets here, buddy. Here's how you can help. Tweet at Ridiculousness and Rob Dyrdek and ask them to give their writers a fair contract. Now, use the hashtags #Ridiculousness and #WGA Strong. Thank you for your support. And he left out a photo. Look at these sweetie peaties putting up their fist, saying, "Give us a union, bitches." I got a bullhorn. Wonderful photo. And then I did. Why do I feel like it's a privacy violation to show the ones I liked? Not a privacy, but it just feels weird to me. Rob, this is Morgan Murphy. Really funny, really smart, really good egg on Twitter and stuff. Have I seen her live? No. Yeah, no, I have not. Rob is likely worth hundreds of, but she's been around LA. She's been at it quite a while. I know she's written on a ton of stuff. So very, very, very good. Rob is likely worth hundreds of millions and is proudly vocal about aspiring to be a billionaire. His entire personal brand outside of TV is about growing and accumulating wealth. His writers deserve a long overdue fair contract. Insane. Guy's going to be a billionaire off of the work of these people. All this money. And they won't, it's just freaking crazy. He'll still have all this ascendancy. He's still going to be an ascended being if they gave the writers what they want. But they have to keep that squeeze on, because once you relent a little bit, once your victim starts to sort of loosen the vice, the spinny vice with the spindle, the big bolt thing. I have one on my balcony in my woodworking shop I can't use anymore. Once you loosen that, it gets easier to loosen. That's what they're afraid of. They got to keep the vice squeezing. I'm talking Joe Pesci. You made me pop your fucking eyeballs out for Jimmy Gagoogas. For Jimmy fucking Gagoogas. He gets mad at him because this guy's not high enough. Goodfellas or Casino or something. I don't know which one I'm talking about.
It's just,
he puts a dude's head in a vice.
in the end, I had to put his fucking head in a vice. A few moments later.
Charlie M., you make me pop your fucking eye out of your head to protect that piece of shit! Charlie M., you dumb motherfucker!
And then he squeezes it till his eyeballs start to pop out. Pretty good acting. Pretty good acting. And the guy finally, he's torturing him to get information. And but then he's mad at him because the guy he was protecting is like is not a high enough status to justify that kind of violence. It's a great way to react. So, but once they loosen the vice, though, they can't loosen it, because once you get a little grip, what's happening? Leverage is increasing. Now you can stand up a little bit more. You got to put up with less shit. The boss isn't going to be, and I don't know, I'm not making any claims about ridiculousness or whatever, or any bosses, but the bosses can't pull the crap that they can pull. It's not just about that 3 or 4 year contract cycle. Precisely. It's very much partially, but it's also about daily regulation of tone and approach and mentality. And so it feels like you're taking power from crazed maniacs, which is why the tendency in humans, and I don't think it's actually true about human nature, but in the terms of the kind of organizational structures we have now, we tend to pick sociopaths and maniacs and psychos to be in charge. Generally, not all of them, but there's a high propensity or a high proportion of the population of sociopaths in the leadership of our current systems, because these are built around abusing and dominating and domination subjugation hierarchies. So that's how, naturally, of course, it's how it's going to be. A more democratically accountable leadership system would be far less abusive, and that's a restriction on people who understand other human beings as something to be used. As a human is a resource to be sourced, to be harvested from. Human resources. Really nailed it there, Cal. Oh,